I'd be participating in another ink drawing challenge for the month of October, but here we are. This year I decided to tackle Furry Little Peach's Peachtober prompt list, which turned out to be a lot of fun to do. So first off, I wanted to share some of the supplies I used this month. Starting out, we have our sketchbook, or in this case watercolor pad. This is a Pentalic Aqua journal. I believe the dimensions are 5 by 8 and it has 48 pages. But the quality of this journal is really nice. Here's an example of a piece that I did last year. But I like that each page has a nice weight to it. The ink does not bleed through the page. The pages stay relatively flat even when applying washes. And overall, the look and feel of this watercolor pad is very nice. I love using this, and it's taken me a long time to use up the pages, so it's a good amount for a watercolor pad. Usually you don't get this many. Okay, and next is the ink. So the main ink I use is this Winsor & Newton black ink. I think I got some ink on the label, but this is Black Indian ink. It's got a really nice consistency. It creates great washes as well as pigmented line art. I think I've had this bottle since college, and I definitely haven't used it all. It's lasted for many years. But in terms of quality, this is my favorite brand to use. So back where I used to live, the local art shop had a limited amount of colored ink available. The brand that they typically carried was Higgins. I do like that it comes in a variety of colors. So right here I just have magenta, violet, and turquoise. But this is very different from the Winsor & Newton ink because it's a lot more watery. I don't know if that comes through on camera. That makes it great for doing colored washes, but when it comes to line art, it doesn't always look the most pigmented. And then finally, when I want to add a little special touch to my ink pieces, sometimes I like to add accents of gold ink. So here we have Daler & Rowney, I think that's how you say it, After pearlescent gold ink. And as you can see here, sometimes it'll separate and you just have to shake it. This is a more artificial yellowish gold color. It shows up really well against the black ink, and it appears nice and shiny on all of the work that I use it on. However, if you want a gold that's more realistic, I'm sure there's other brands out there that achieve that, but for the work that I do, this actually tends to fit the mood of my pieces a little bit better. Okay, so in terms of drawing and painting tools, I have a few to share with you. So the first is the fancy one. This is a glass dipping pen. I think I got this as a gift for Christmas last year. They're actually not very expensive. You can find cheap ones on Amazon and stuff, but this is just kind of a visual flex. The quality of the lines that they achieve is fine. I also use a metal nib pen, but for making videos and stuff, this is definitely more visually pleasing, so I tend to use it for that reason. I don't know if you've seen these before, but these are watercolor brushes. These are great because they hold water in the handle, if you can see that. But that means even if you can't bring a bottle of water, a cup of water with you to paint, you can still create nice ink washes. And the tips come in a variety of sizes. And then finally, when I want an easier option for doing line work, then I use these fine line drawing pens from Ohuhu. I got these for a sponsored video a while ago. And of course, I mean, when you get art supplies, you gotta use them. So I like that these come in a variety of weights. If I want really fine line art, I'm going to be using this 0.1 millimeter size. And then if I want something a little more expressive, then I'm going to use this brush pen. But these are just black felt tip pens and they work really well. So for the sketchbook tour, I actually recorded my drawing process every day throughout the whole month. So I'll show you a preview of what it was like drawing each of these drawings. And then afterwards, we'll do a more in-depth tour of each page. So as you can see, I did something a little different than other artists do. Instead of drawing one ink piece per page, I instead drew multiple days on the same page in these 1.5 by 1.5 inch squares. And that's just because I work full-time as an artist, and so I don't have a lot of free time to dedicate to extra challenges like Peachtober. So this is a way that I can just have good work-life balance as I'm trying to still participate in fun challenges like this. So for day 1, we had Daisy. So I wanted to create a very cute flower crown of daisies, and this is using that green Higgins ink, as well as the Ohuhu fine line drawing pens for the line art, and then finally just a dash of color in the center of those daisies with that pearlescent gold ink I showed you. Day 2 was Sparkle, and for this I was thinking of just a shooting star and wanting to capture that against a very bright and vibrant blue sky. For day 3, we had Paw, and I was inspired by my own little cat Zuko, so I drew my hand holding his hand. Day 4 was Sky, and I envisioned a bright blue sky with big fluffy clouds and sitting outside just enjoying a nice cup of tea. Day 5 was Fawn. This was a little tricky, to be honest. I don't know if I've ever drawn a deer before. I looked up a few reference photos and then tried to find a way to make it kind of cute and cartoony while still not being too exaggerated, so I don't know what you guys think. Then for day 6 was Sketch, and I had this idea to draw a character who was drawing themselves and having their hand pop out of the paper. So I tried to add a little shadow here of the arm coming off of the sheet of paper. The next day was Bud. And so I didn't really have an idea for this. I didn't want to just draw a little plant popping out of the ground. So instead, I did a little plant popping out of a character's head. Maybe this is some sort of like plant spirit or nymph or something. But I had leaves coming out of like her shoulder area and then out of her head. And then I just thought this would be a good opportunity to put pops of pink in there as well. And since each page fit 8 drawings, we're ending week 1 on day 8 with River, and here I just wanted to have a little island and a flowing river scene, and then I love cats, so I had to add a cute giant sleeping cat on the island. Okay, week 2. Week 2, we had kind of a different color scheme going on this page. So we started with day 9, which was Apricot. I don't know if I've ever had an apricot, but they look like peaches, right? So I drew a whole apricot and then a half crosscut, and then instead of the regular pit, I drew a little void cat. And then for the following day, for Pixel, I got really ambitious. I wanted to actually draw something in a pixel art style, and I wasn't quite sure how to do it, so I just did my best to measure out perfect squares across my little square canvas, and then, I don't know, I just decided on something random, and I did a shrimp. So hopefully you can see it with like the antenna and then the tail. This is basically my posture when I'm doing all of these ink drawings. For day 11, the topic was wheel. Rather than drawing a car or a bike or something like that, I tried to get creative with all these prompts. It got really hard on some of them. For wheel, It made me think of wagon wheel pasta, which I always enjoyed as a kid. So I thought that would create some interesting shapes. And then I just wanted to keep this one simple, use straight black ink, and I think it worked out. The following day was Earth, which again, it's like, how many ways can you show the Earth other than just, a circle on a page? So I tried to do something a little bit different. If you've ever seen those little potion containers for like Ren fairs and stuff, the potion bottle itself is usually a sphere. So I thought I'd replace that with a little earth inside. Alright, for day 13 we had Cape. To be honest, I was probably the least happiest with this drawing. I couldn't really think of a way that I wanted to show Cape. So I just have this kind of, little zoomed in picture of a character. It wasn't the greatest. It is what it is. And then for day 14, we had Burrow. And so I decided to draw a little fox popping his head out of a little burrow with some grass around it. You see a lot of these like kitsch lamps from, a few decades ago where they were turning like animals into lamps, and I think they're so funny and cute. So I decided to draw a lamp in the shape of a duck. And then for the final drawing of the week, Owl, rather than just drawing a plain owl, I decided to think how I could create the scenery to be a little more unique. So I decided to draw one of those little owls that makes its home in a cactus. And at this point, we are halfway through Peachtober. So starting off with day 17, our theme was slow. And I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do for slow until I saw that the following day's theme was fast. And it immediately got me thinking about slow and fast foods. One of my favorite foods is ramen, so I thought it might be fun to portray the slow and methodical process of creating ramen from scratch versus just making some instant noodles. Day 19 was Crocodile, which, again, I don't think I've ever drawn a crocodile before, and I really wasn't sure what kind of pose to put the crocodile in. And then I remembered seeing like a TikTok or a reel or something of a crocodile just floating in water and his arms and legs sticking out all funny, so I thought that was cute and decided to draw it here. So day 20 was Rest, and I immediately thought of how when I lay down in bed to take a nap or something, my cat Zuko will join me and lay with me, and it's so sweet, so I wanted to draw that here. For day 21, the topic was greenhouse, and rather than drawing kind of a large building structure, I instead opted for a smaller greenhouse in the form of a terrarium made out of a mason jar bottle. The following day was village, and I'm not the best at drawing buildings, and I wasn't sure if I just wanted to draw like little houses peppering a street, and I thought, how could I make it more unique? So instead I thought of like the aluminum cans that vegetables and tuna fish come in, and I thought, oh, those create nice building like shapes. What if I turn those into a village? So that's what you have here. And then it wouldn't be an October ink drawing challenge if I didn't do at least one kind of spooky theme drawing. So for party, I just decided to draw a little ghost party with a little ghost DJ and some little ghost dancers. And to wrap up week 3, we have Radish for day 24. And to be honest, I didn't know how to make Radish unique. I just drew a radish. So there it is. Oop, Radish. And wrapping up Peachtober, we have the final week 4. So for day 25, we have Stone. I drew inspiration from the Sheikah stones from Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, but I made it into a cute cat-shaped rock. Then for day 26, the topic was backpack. Now for this one, I kind of made a little mistake. I don't know. So I did the ink wash initially, and then I was using a fountain pen to do the line art. This was the only drawing that I did this on because I wanted to test out a new pen. And I didn't let the ink wash dry completely before I started the line work. And so you can see that the lines are kind of fuzzy in some places where they blend into the surrounding areas. And at first I was like, oh no, I ruined it. But then I just kept at it, and I don't know, I think it still turned out pretty cute. I just wanted to draw a cute character with a big oversized backpack. Then day 27 was grass, which what am I supposed to do other than draw grass? So rather than get too creative with it, I just tried to be a little more technical about how I laid out the ink. So I started with a very light green ink wash and then built on top of that with a slightly darker wash and then added even more ink for the shadows before filling in the background with black and adding the line work. And I think it turned out alright. And then for Pony, I drew Pink Pony, like Pink Pony Club, because that song has been stuck in my head for the past few months. Then for day 29, we had Break. So I wanted to practice creating broken glass and seeing how I could portray that with just a few colors of ink and then black line work. So I used a combination of the turquoise and magenta ink to get this nice little purplish gradient, and I think it looks nice. And then I liked those colors so much that I used it for the following day for Pearl. So you can see there's touches of the turquoise on some parts of the pearl and then more of that magenta on other sides to create that pearlescent quality to it. And then continuing the line art with the fine liner pens. And then the final day, day 31, was Spider. I'm not the biggest fan of spiders, so I looked up pictures of cute spiders, and there were a few that were really fuzzy with big eyes. I didn't necessarily think they were the cutest, but I went with it and just tried to create a little guy that wasn't so frightening or whatever. I'm not scared of spiders. I just have a healthy amount of respect for them. And then because there's 31 days in October, but I had 32 squares, we finish off with just a little in the end, and that's a wrap. And here are all the finished drawings again. Let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. I'm glad I managed to finish Peachtober, and if you participated in any October-related art challenges, I hope you had fun too. Don't forget to follow me for more art-related videos, and as always, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye-bye!